Hi there everyone. My name is Heather. I work at Mike's Camera in Dublin, California. I'm here to help you with your art and how to photograph it properly. When it comes down to it, we've all had struggles when it comes to photographing our art, whether it be painting, sculpture, if it has shine to it, or if it's in a lighting situation that maybe we can't control. It's always difficult to capture its likeness on camera. It should be so easy when it comes to the technology we have today, but sometimes they're just those things that we can't get past. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to help fix those. So the first things first is if you're a photographer and you frame your work, or if you're a painter and there's glass in front of your work, something like that, if you're dealing with a framed piece, or even something that has reflection coming back at you, not necessarily your reflection, but a reflection in general, something of light, a glare, that sort of thing. What can be of absolute help is a circular polarizer. You'll find these at any camera store online, but you need one that fits your lens. So unfortunately, this isn't going to work with your phone. This isn't going to work with a point and shoot camera. This is for cameras that have lenses with threading. So some of your bridge cameras even will have this, but naturally you need to find that thread size. And the way that you would use this is you're going to turn the front of the filter until you don't get that glare. If you've ever worn polarized sunglasses, you'll see that you can avoid glare in car glass, that type of thing. Very similar to what you're seeing with a polarized filter. It allows you to be able to get past that reflection, past that glare that's happening in the glass, and allow you to take a better picture. Now, it may not be perfect, it's not foolproof, but if your work is hanging up and you're in an area where you can't control the lighting, then you just gotta deal with what you can do. And a polarizer can definitely help in those situations. Now, if you're taking pictures in a controlled environment, the easiest and best thing you can do is just take the glass out of the frame. Believe it or not, if you take the glass out of the frame, put it back in the frame, you won't even notice on camera, realistically. So you can still give yourself a fantastic frame, but allow yourself to photograph your work without getting a bounce back of any sort of light or reflection. So if you have the ability to remove glass from the frame or remove the glare completely, doing that is the best possible thing you can do. Now, in a situation where, say you have a painting that you're doing oil or acrylic, naturally you're getting all sorts of direction there, from left to right, up, down, all sorts of different brush strokes. It's not going to be a flat piece. It's something that bridges between 2D and 3D. And so the light is going to bounce on it all sorts of different ways. So the best way to capture those types of work is actually adding diffused light. So if you're working specifically with window light, you can get yourself very inexpensive white bed sheets to pin up over the windows to diffuse the light coming in through the window. Otherwise, you can get light kits that are LED balanced. That's definitely what I would recommend, that give you the option of umbrellas or softbox. That'll allow to diffuse, soften, and spread the light, making it look very natural, and you're not getting a harsh bounce back. Typically, if you don't have any sort of diffusion over your window or over any sort of light source like a light bulb or a flash, all you're going to see is a harsh bounce back and one or two single balls of light in your paintings. So to avoid that, you have to add diffusion. In these cases where you have to diffuse that light, where you can't use a very bright light, you may be forced to use a tripod. So a tripod is something that's almost a must when it comes to photographing your artwork, at least in a controlled environment. Speaking of controlled environments, you can also utilize like a still life studio, a light box. So if you don't have necessarily a room to work in and your photography is not the size of a refrigerator, then you can easily either purchase a still life studio, which is essentially a pop-up box with LED lighting inside that allows it to bounce the light around with a flat background, usually white, black, or gray. But typically those boxes will only go up to maybe 3 feet by 3 feet. So if you're dealing with something larger and you want a controlled studio looking environment, you can actually make one of these yourself. The way that you would make one is naturally you want to start out with finding a big enough box to contain your work to photograph in. So whether you have to go out and buy yourself a refrigerator box, it's something that you're going to have to go and do. Alongside the box, you want to purchase tissue paper, white tissue paper that you would typically put into gift bags. So what you would do is you would take your very large box, you would leave the cardboard on the bottom and the back side, but you would cut a large window through the left and right side and on the top. From there, you're actually going to add the tissue paper to the sides and the top by just using Scotch tape, tape it together. This is going to be the diffusion for your light. So very similar to how we were talking about diffusing your light for your windows or a light set that you can get, you would want to do the same thing to your Still Life Studio box. That's when you start adding light to the box itself. So naturally you want some pretty strong lighting, so you may have to go and get studio lighting anyway in order to put light through the tissue paper from the outside. Otherwise you can go to Home Depot, you can go to Lowe's. They typically have the metal domes that you can use fairly strong LED lights in. You can use those, clamp them to whatever you need to shine right through the tissue paper to the inside of the box. Then you can go ahead and get yourself either a roll of paper, you can get yourself a poster board if that works, the flexible kind. And what you would do is you would tape it to the top of the box in the back and have it draped down toward you. And that would be your background for your subject. There are all sorts of different tutorials online of making your own still life studio. You can find still life studios at your local camera store, including Mike's, where we do have ProMaster still life studios up to 28 by 28 inches. We also have background paper and studio lighting for you if you need to photograph your work during this time. If you have any questions at all, we're all here to help you find what you need to accomplish the look that you need for your works of art. We'll see you next time.